Aloha worm Ohana. I've been really pleased to see how everybody's doing. I get all of your data entries, and please, if you haven't done so lately, get your numbers into me, make my day. And I'm really happy to see everyone's feeding their worms. I love it when you add comments and tell me how things are going. And you're doing great. And one topic that's come up a lot just recently in the last couple of weeks is harvesting. Several of you have said, I think my bin is ready. It seems to be up to the top with finished Vermicast. I've got a big worm colony and I want to know, can I go ahead and harvest? And some of you have just decided to go ahead and harvest and had great results. June did a harvest and she says, I think I finally got the hang of this and my plants are loving the Vermicast, and thanks. And Joy recently did a harvest. She invited people over, they had a party, and she ended up with 2 pounds, 6 ounces of worms and 10 gallons of Vermicast. So she was really happy and she rebed her worms. And maybe you're feeling like you'd like to go ahead and harvest too. And I usually say 6 months roughly is a good gauge of when to harvest. That's a kind of an average cycle, but you might be a bit ahead of that because you have a very dense colony of worms that's really processing material quickly, or you may have just a small amount of household food waste in a small colony, and it may take them even as long as a year to fully process all the material in the bin and be ready for harvest. So how do you know when it's ready? Well, essentially, it's when all of the bedding is gone and has been processed into Vermicast. So the worms have some tolerance for living in their own poop for a while, but not forever. And they'll hang around, it's okay, but when that bedding is gone, it's really time to separate them from the finished Vermicast and give them fresh bedding. I mean, face it, nobody wants to be in a lot of old poop, they want to be in fresh bedding, right? So get your bedding prepared, whether you're tearing up cardboard or using pine shavings or coconut coir, just have it ready. And you can go ahead, dump out your bin, separate them, rebed, and just enjoy the bounty of what you and your worms have produced in more or less 6 months. So I just want to show you what it should look like about now if you're ready to harvest. I have a bin that's overdue. It's the one we harvest, that we rebed in April, so it's a bit overdue, and I put in a 1.25 pounds from my growing colony. So it had a bigger colony to begin with. It's a little bit longer, and I agree with those of you who say, I think we're ready, it's full, I got a zillion worms in there, am I ready? And we'll take a look at what it looks like. And then we have the one that I did with you all at the June workshop. I started with a 1/4 pound of worms, and it's been not quite 6 months. So we'll take a look at the two of these, and maybe that'll help you determine whether your bin is ready. So here we go. Let's take a look at bin number 1. So this is I've had this bin for over a year. I rebed it back in April, and I started with my 1/4 pound of worms. I got 2.5 pounds, and split that up, 1.25 for 2 bins, and here's the bin now, months later. These guys grind like crazy. They get fed lots and lots of really wonderful food. I collect food from 4 other families. So we're the Wyola Street Worm Collective. I'm willing to bet we're the only apartment complex in the entire island of Oʻahu who has their own worm operation. And yes, you can see my wormies are healthy and happy, and they grind like crazy. These guys get 6 to 7 pounds a week of food on average. But they're ready to be fed tomorrow, and as you can see over on this side, they've pretty much finished everything in here. But my question is it ready to harvest yet? I'm going to dig down and take a look what it looks like on the bottom. So I want to encourage you, don't be afraid to dig down and see what's going on. And I'm digging down, and I see there's a little bit of unfinished bedding down there, so they're not completely finished with it, but they're still in there working it, and I still see little wads of babies, so there's still a lot of activity going on. So if I really felt the need, I could harvest these guys and rebed them, and they'd be just fine. And I notice underneath the bin there's some very fine vermicast that's leaking out the holes. But look there's still some unfinished wood chips in here at the bottom. That's what we used when we rebed it. So I feel like, okay, if I wanted to wait a little while on these, guys, I could, because the vermicast is always not quite finished and you set it aside to season. So, never hurts to go down and look. But it's looking pretty good. I mean, really, take a look at that. Pretty nice. So it's okay, but you know what? I'm going to wait a little while, I think, now that I've looked at the bedding. If it was really, really finished vermicast all the way down, boy, I'd be harvesting and rebedding this weekend. But this looks like it can wait. I think I'm going to wait for Christmas when I have a little more time. Give them another month or so, and it should be even better. I imagine I've got at least 3 pounds of worms in here, and they've been just grinding away at lots and lots of food. Look at these guys. I mean, really, they're just really amazing. I also noticed a lot of little babies and hatchlings, so I'd rather let those guys grow a little more before I do the harvest. So even though this one looks really ready, and by the calendar you could say, yeah, it is, just for my own sake of wanting to have it a little more finished, I'm going to wait another month or so, and you can too. So anytime between 6 months and a year is great. People with larger worm colonies probably cycle a lot faster than ones without. So I'm going to don't worry, I'm going to repaper, you guys. I know I made a mess. Sorry. So anyway, that's my mango pit. See if there's anybody inside. Oh yes, of course, they're in there eating that mango seed. And somebody told me they had mango trees sprouting from their bin. Isn't that great? Your worms are now mango farmers. So pull that out and plant it. It got a really good start in all that vermicast. Hey guys, you enjoy that mango seed? We'll just leave it in there for you to finish. All right, mango season. Worms are so happy. And then let's look at my other guy. This is my one that we started with the people that came with the to the July, whatever it was, the end of June worm workshop over at Enchanted Lake. And again, these guys have been doing really well. They just grind away. Look at my babies, man. Oh man, I started with a 1/4 pound and now I got lots and lots of wormies. Yeah. I'm sure those of you who are fearless feeders are looking at the same thing. And those of you who are a little conservative and afraid to give them a lot, please understand these wormies. They are born to eat. Their mantra is abundanza, abundance, give us more. So unless it's stinking, you can probably give them more than you are. And if it is stinking, you're overfeeding. You can always trust your nose. Your nose knows. If you get stinky bin, you back off and let them catch up. So that was last week, and these guys are getting fed tomorrow, and as you can see, they have gone through everything on this side. It looks pretty vermicasty, but when I dig down and take a look, it's still pretty fibrous. And these guys had cardboard, I think. And I see lots of little babies, so they're still reproducing in here. So I think this one's I'm also going to wait on. It's okay to wait anywhere from 6 months to a year, you're good. But I think I'm not going to go as far as a year, certainly, but I think I'm going to let this one mature a little bit more and the vermicast to be a little bit more finished. So that's what you base it on. Take a look at the bedding, at the base, at the vermicast, and see how far along it is. There'll be lots that's really finished, but if there's a whole lot of fibrous stuff, you could give it a little longer. I hope this helps. Hi, you guys. And again, don't ever be afraid to reach in. It doesn't hurt to go down there and aerate a little bit anyway. I'm going all the way down now, and I can definitely feel some bedding. I'm going to pull it up and maybe mix it up a little bit with the top. Mix it up a little, that's fine too. So we'll give them a little time. They've got a little bedding to still, and it's really funny inside the bedding. You know, you'll pull apart the cardboard, and or the little chunks of wood chips, and there'll be little babies in there. The bedding sort of serves as little nurseries, and there'll be little wads of babies in the bedding. So you know your worms are still actively reproducing, and they want to be in a dense colony. So when people go, oh, there's so many worms in here, I need to take them out, they will stabilize their population on their own, so don't worry about that too much. They want to be in dense colonies, consuming mass quantities. That's what wormies do. So allow them to manifest their destiny, and feed them plenty, water them every day. And if you feel the need to harvest, go ahead. And if you want to wait a little while after you've looked to see what the situation is down there, then wait. But if you feel like harvesting and you kind of forgot how to do it, we are replaying for you our harvesting demonstration. It's coming up next. So I say goodbye if you don't want to see it, but if you are planning on harvesting and want a reminder, keep watching, and that's coming right up. So thanks again. Please remember to report your data, and happy worming.